gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro, don't waste your time no more. Who the are you to tell me what to do? I don't give a if you say you disapprove. I'm gonna make my move, I'm gonna make it soon, and I'll do it cause it's what I wanna do. Cause all these opinions and all these positions, they come in millions, they blocking your vision. But no, you can't listen, that shit is all fiction. Cause you hold the power as long as you're driven.
There's no way that you make it. And maybe you can fake it, but you're never gonna make it. Oh, will you fight?
Hello and welcome to Game Day from the UK, another Miami Heat UK live pre-game streaming show tonight to preview tonight's game against the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm here today with two of my guys. First of all, Glenn Smith from the other side of the world in Dubai. Very, very late for you, early hours of the morning. Glenn, how are you? Great to have you back.
I'm doing well. I'm hoping you can hear me okay on this hotel Wi-Fi.
Yes, I can hear you very well. Really, really appreciate you joining us. What's the time over there?
It's currently midnight, so...
Oh, that's nothing.
There's nothing. We're used to this.
This is normal tip-off time for us, so this is good. Great to have you back, mate. John Chablanca, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thanks.
Good stuff. Right, guys, we'll make it a quick one tonight because there's not much great stuff to talk about. And obviously, Glenn needs to catch some Zeds ready for work tomorrow. But before we do, let's always catch up on the last game out, which, of course, was the defeat to the Grizzlies. Glenn, I know you've only been keeping sort of eye on highlights and so on, but it was a tough one, and it's a strange one as well a little bit because fair play to the Grizzlies. Without Ja Morant, have now knocked off 5 wins on the trot, blowing out a lot of teams in the meantime. We just couldn't match their energy at all across the game, could we?
No, and it was difficult with the early re-injury to Butler, I guess we could say, considering it was a pretty hefty knock considering everything he's been through. Tough with every guy that we've had out at the moment, with Bam having his surgery, Markeith's been out for more games than I can count on two hands at this rate. So it was always going to be a difficult one. Fair play to them performing as well as they have without Ja Morant, to be honest with you. So we just need to step up.
Yep, this is it. Just before, a quick follow-up question there to you. Butler is out tonight, aggravated that injury, as you said. I'm not upset about that, but what do you think here? He's now going to have a few days rest because we don't play the Bulls again until Saturday night, which means he'll have a total of about 5 days rest. Do you just look at it at the moment as though sit him until it is clearly no longer a problem? Because if it's still bruised or causing him an agony in any way, is it worth at this point risking anything?
No, not at all. We're already in a rut, as we've said in the last few games. It's been some poor showings, and at the end of the day, to try and rush him back when he's going to have so much weight on his shoulders, I actually think it's going to be better for some of these bench guys to try and step up and really have to think about, do you know what? Yeah, no, I'm going to prove myself in this team now. Let me earn a space, especially for people like Yurtseven, who's obviously a rookie coming into this year, who's going to get a lot of minutes with Bam missing and stuff like that. And you've got Gabe Vincent and other people stepping up. I think for them, it's a great opportunity, and leave Jimmy as long as he needs. There's no rush. We're still early doors in the season, I'd like to say. So it's not crazy important.
Yeah, and that leads me on quite nicely, John, because Glenn there has said about, the young guys, the guys that are maybe the more rotational guys, Gabe Vincent, for example. Caleb has been very good. Max Strus has been excellent in times as well. But when you look at this team and the guys that are earning the money, obviously Bam is now out for a long period. Jimmy's going to be out definitely tonight, and we'll see where that goes. Cole Lowry as well, a max player. Cole's sort of showing at the moment that, he's an excellent player, and you know exactly what he can do, but he's not a takeover guy, is he? And when you look at the team with those players who have been excellent, those rotational players, those guys that are coming in maybe 8th, 9th, 10 men off the bench, as great as they've been, when it's Kyle plus them, that's not going to win you a hell of a lot of games. Is that something that we should be concerned about at the moment?
I mean, right now without Jimmy and Bam, it is concerning to see Lowry not stepping up, especially on the scoring side. Like you said, Caleb, Gabe, Strus, and they will give you good minutes in spurts, and they will play their role, which is just give some rotational minutes and then have the actual stars of the team to take over the games. So I think it is concerning right now, especially with 2 stars out, that we don't see much of Kyle Lowry scoring, because we know he can do that at times. He had 20 points against Mavericks and then 20 points in a quarter against Clippers. So we know he can, even at this age. So it is concerning.
Yeah, and come on to that, because during that game against Grizzlies, where we could never really bring it back close enough to make it a real contest, we always seem to be kept at arm's length. And yet Kyle Lowry there played 40 minutes of that game, which I found really strange. And maybe there's a bit of, Spo himself has almost criticised himself, saying he's got to work this out. We like to think now that he's had a day in the lab, he's had an off day, he can maybe work on a few things. But that's a little bit concerning as well. It's 40 minutes for Kyle Lowry in a game that never felt like it was winnable. And also, more maybe to the point, players like Max Strus, who have been doing really well, only a handful of minutes. What do you make of that? Is Spo sort of getting this right or getting it wrong, more importantly?
Yeah, that was a strange rotation, like completely. Because you either have Lowry play 40 minutes and try to make the game competitive, but then he played 40 minutes, and then the next highest one was, I think, Caleb with 31. No one else touched 30. So that was a weird one. It was I would either play Kyle Lowry 40 minutes with Hero, with PJ and Dedmon, or just have Gabe run 40.
Yeah, it was a strange one. As you said, Dedmon didn't play that many minutes as well. A lot was handed to Yurtseven, which I'm not against, but it was a game that I just don't know. I thought there was some odd decisions there, and another one with Robinson again. Glenn Robinson not playing a single minute in the fourth again. This seems to be a regular occurrence. I know he likes to trust Tyler Hero, and the stats back up that. I suppose, is there a way that you can get them two on the court together, or is that too much of a defensive liability?
I feel like all I've done this season is dig into Duncan Robinson, and I'm going to go for it again. I mean, in the last 2 games, he's got a plus minus of within the negative 20s, negative 22 and negative 20. He is that liability on the defensive end, and we all know that Tyler has a lot to do long term on stepping up for the defensive end. He's certainly not a bad defender generally, but I agree with you. When you're trying to close out games at the moment, maybe it is a liability to have both of those guys on the court and push. And I'd say on the Spo thing as well, we don't often see Spo trying to interject when we've got a lot of, as they like to call themselves, dogs on the team that go at refs, they go at other players and are happy to go in on that. And as soon as Jimmy started going into the refs, you saw almost a panic in Spo to kind of try and break that up. But as I don't think you'd normally see that. And I think that kind of tells a tale maybe of he was worrying a lot about if Jimmy was going to get taken out of the game, what that would mean for his game plan. And I think maybe that he was relying too much on that. And as you say, maybe the day in the lab will help him on that. But certainly, to touch on the point again, I think that both of those guys on the court at the moment, I don't think there's enough, especially when you're missing big guys like Markieff Morris, who do make up on that defensive end.
Yeah, and it's difficult because it's not time to panic by any means. As you said, there's still a long way to go this season. We know the BAM, obviously, long term is going to be now 4 to 6 weeks. Oladipo will probably tie in around that sort of time as well. Markieff Morris is almost back. Jimmy Butler, we think, will be short term as well. Hopefully, only just tonight, but we'll see. But in the meantime, John, between sort of now and maybe New Year, is it almost wise to just take these next stretch of games, which is still quite tough? We've got obviously Bucks tonight. We've got Bulls coming up as well. That's not an easy game, although they've got some health and protocol issues. Is it almost wise at the moment to just not really pay much attention to the standings and just take it game by game?
Yeah, especially if we're going to rest Jimmy as well. There's not much to take on if you have Lowry, Hero, and then just not even rotational players on a playoff team, just playing so many games. I don't think it will be as bad. Like looking at the schedule, after these couple of games, we still have 7 games against Magic twice. I think the Pistons again, the Rockets. So those are teams that you can win with Lowry and Hero. But yeah, in the short term, I wouldn't care as much on these losses and wins.
Yeah, it's going to be easier said than done because it's so bunched up at the moment in the East, doing both conferences, but especially the East. So a couple of defeats, if we lose tonight, if we lose against Chicago, we could almost see us back down to the sort of 7th, 8th seed. And Heat Twitter won't take that well because we are a very short-sighted bunch. But let's come on to tonight's game against the Bucks. Glenn, 2 games so far against Milwaukee. Opening game for the Heat, blew them out by 42. quite recently, up last week. They blew us out as well by 30-something. It seems like a hell of a lot of difference between what we're seeing right now to what we're seeing, what we saw in that opening game. Obviously, we know that health issues are very much involved in that, but it just doesn't seem the same, does it? It doesn't seem fun at the moment. It seems like everything's a bit downbeat. It almost seems like an inevitable loss tonight. I think it's almost getting to a point where it's becoming accepted. But it just seems like the whole team, the aura around the team at the moment, take away the results, just doesn't seem to be clicking. Doesn't seem as fun as it was.
Swings and roundabouts on the blowout. Swings and roundabouts. You win some, you lose some. But I agree with you. At the end of the day, that we came out game one of the season, smashed them by, as you say, the low 40s, high 30s on that game, and yeah, it's difficult to kind of tell. You're in that point in the season, as you say, where you're missing out on guys. You need people to step up. And again, Heat Twitter, as you say, we're a very short-sighted bunch. So, of course, we'd love to see wins in these games. But at the end of the day, they are the defending champions. And you're going to come out with game one of the season. You're going to have that grit and determination. And naturally, it's going to drop off over time. And I think that's what we've seen. And I think it's going to take maybe a kick like this, where you're missing a few guys, to where they're going to come back, feel a little bit under the pressure in those late 7-8 seeds. Maybe, hang on, boys, unless we pick our stuffs up here, we've got some good guys, and we might not miss the playoffs, but we might not be in the seeding that we really want and think that we can make a run with. And hopefully that grit starts to come back into the team.
Yeah, John, looking through again some of the stats, etc. Rebounding's been a bit of an issue for Miami recently, especially since Bam's gone out. Again, Milwaukee, a good rebounding team. Giannis is back as well. I mean, Giannis is a double-double. He's almost the perfect example, the most sure thing bet you could put on tonight. But, why has this been? Is it too simple to just say, well, Bam's out? Why have Heat, who started such a good rebounding team, an unsurprisingly good rebounding team, why has it fallen off?
I think most of it was effort. Like when watching the Memphis game, you can just see the Memphis players just running around, going for those rebounds, and then you have people just standing about watching the ball come to their hands. Those occasions where they're just losing guys behind them, and then that's when they grab the boards. Not having Bam and then having Dedmon play all these minutes also hurts. Not having Keith hurts. Jimmy was also a good rebounder for his position, but I think it's just mostly effort now as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to bring up, and I think that was sort of the point I would get into that on my last question. There is that I know it's very difficult because your key personnel is maybe not playing, but the reason why I'm saying it doesn't feel like it's very fun at the moment on court is because that effort, that it's not been Heat culture, is it? It's not been, you could throw out a load of undrafted players. We've seen players like Rodney McGruder down the years, Josh Richardson, players like that. Just whatever happens, they're giving their all, and we've seen that in flashes from players like Gabe Vincent, etc. But it seems, Glenn, like the effort isn't there. And when you see like we get blown out by the Cavs, we got never felt like a winnable game against the Grizzlies. This is all on our home court, and now we come up against the reigning champions in Milwaukee. That effort has to be there, doesn't it? Because that's what this team is all about.
Of course, and the one guy I'd think I'd pick out again, who should be probably arguably stepping up the most in the absence of Bam, is Dedmon. And I don't care much. His plus minus again isn't great. It's in the negative 20s for the last two games. But if this is a guy who, when he first came into the team and started making that rotation play in the bubble, I believe he was looking outstanding and looking. Do you know what? Yeah, you could be a real great solid option, a solid second option here. And I don't think it's not that he doesn't want it. Maybe he's just not switched on in the mindset at the moment for it. And I think those are the guys, as you say, it's when you're struggling on the defensive end, when you're struggling on the offensive end and things just aren't gelling, the one thing you need to grab is rebounds to give yourself more chances to make things happen. And if you're not up there, if you're not fighting with your heart for every single go, like as you say, we've seen guys do in the past, then it's all going to fall apart because our team relies on that culture when the big boys are missing.
Yep, definitely, 100%. And John sort of alluding to that as well. We've seen that with the effort comes the sloppy play, and with the sloppy play comes turnovers. And the Heat gave away a lot of them again. We're going to get punished if this is going to be a problem again tonight. It's going to be a no contest. Other than that, rebounding, turnovers, anything else we see that if we're going to take something out of tonight's game, that's going to need to be addressed.
Like the way we started the season was we could live without Duncan's shooting like off nights, but now I think we lost that blanket of security. Like with the Indiana game, we won that game because of Lowry and Duncan being hot. And I think now if Duncan's not hot or Lowry's not shooting well, then we can't win. So I think that should be the priority as well. Just getting those two guys going. Everyone keeps saying about the slow start in the first quarter, and that depends on Duncan and Larry to get going quickly. Because if they start hot, then it's a good chance they will win.
Yeah, that would be a blessing. It just seems like forever. I mean, we had that one game, didn't we, where Lowry went off early in the first quarter, but it just seems like slow starts are a real thing at the moment. And it was 26 before we called a timeout and Tyler Hero came to the game where we started to claw it back. But you're right, John. If tonight is going to be a success in any way, or even just a tight contest, then Kyle Lowry and Duncan Robinson especially have to be key to this game. They are the keys to this game for me. Before we come into some predictions, quick final question to you both. I'll let you both answer this. Glenn, if around All-Star break, I could tell you right now that the Heat were an 8th seed, 5 games below 500, say, but then back to full strength. Literally everyone, Bam, Depot, Morris, everyone's back to full strength. If I could offer you that seeding and that record right now, would you take it?
I wouldn't complain. At the end of the day, you're still in the top 8 where you need to be. That's it, again, we've seen enough times we've come from naff positions in the seeding to come and do some amazing runs. And as you say, if you've got the guys ready to go after that, you've got the guys ready to go.
Yep. Right. In my opinion, that's the right answer. John, you're smiling. You agree?
No, I'm gonna say no.
Oh. Okay.
I'm way too optimistic about this team. And I think I'll be underestimating them. It's not like Jimmy has a season-ending injury. He should be back in even tops 2 weeks. Then All-Star break is in February, right?
Yep, I think so. Mid-February. Yep.
So then that's still a lot of games with Jimmy and Lowry, and I don't think 8th seed. I think that's just
John, we
the
could
bottom.
be 8th seed. We could be 8th seed by the weekend, mate. This is how close it is.
But then it could be the opposite way. Then all we need is 2 games, and we're back in the 5th.
Yeah, this is the crazy thing about the East at the moment. You win a few games, you could be a home court. You lose a few games, you could be in the play-in. That's why I think it's wise at this moment to just not really take much notice of the standings right now. But for me, I think if we're in that position, full roster back, everyone looking healthy, I wouldn't complain. I wouldn't say I'd take it, but I think, Glenn, as you say, I wouldn't complain. Let's see how we get on tonight, though, guys. Let's come on to some predictions. Let's see if there's some enthusiasm after what's been a pretty dull few days. John, I'm going to start with you. You gave us a bit of enthusiasm there, a bit of optimism, a bit of guts, maybe. What are you thinking tonight against Milwaukee?
It's on the road, right?
It's what, sorry?
It's on the road, right?
No, we're at home tonight, my man.
Oh, home. Oh. I was hoping for a Duncan game then.
Love it.
I'm going to say loss then.
I don't blame you. Glenn, what are you thinking?
I've got to go loss too. But again, they're not about the win or the loss for me tonight, considering the guys we've got out. I just want to see some gritty plays, some determination, and some more minutes for these guys on the bench that we've talked about tonight, the Struces, the Vincents, to really make their mark and try and show up. And maybe that can, especially if we're going to be out without key guys in the next few games, not Jimmy, obviously, but our bench is looking withered. It would be nice to see them get some minutes and at least get some, come on, lads. Yeah, no, we're better than this. We can push forward.
That is exactly it. I think that's perfect because I'm not disappointed. I mean, no one's going to be disappointed by a defeat tonight. They're a very good team. They're in good form. They're pretty much full strength other than Brook Lopez, I think. So no disgrace to lose tonight, but I want to see a damn better performance, energy, some commitment to the cause, some fight. That's what this team is for. This is what this team is about. And for some reason, when we see it so bad, when we see it's like when we have a really bad performance, we seem to bounce back pretty well. We seem to come back firing. We saw it with Lowry when everyone criticised him, an 8-point game when we needed him to take over. He then put 20-something up in the first quarter. Duncan, the same, once he broke that streak, he came back with 6 odd triples in one game. This is the sort of thing that does happen. And for some reason, even though we're out without our 2 biggest players, I've just got a good feeling. I've got a good feeling that tonight. Like, literally, with no pressure, I feel like sometimes that's the best way we can play. And I think with Spo addressing some stuff, he acknowledged he needed to address some stuff. I'm feeling good about it. Ridiculously good. I don't mind the L. If we take the L, we take the L. But I want to see a good performance, and I think we'll get it. And I think we'll take a win. I'm going to say Heat by 4. I'm going to say Heat by 4, guys. Let's see what happens. As I said, blind optimism. We'll go with it. After tonight, of course, Chicago comes up next. That's a very winnable game with them, even though they're despite in good form because they're in a lot of health and health protocols at the moment. So that's winnable. And then the schedule starts to soften. So who knows? It could go either way, but let's hope it all starts with a bounce back win tonight. 12:30 tip. Follow us at the Miami Heat UK for in-game commentary. We'll be back Saturday, hopefully, to preview the game against Chicago. Until then, guys, thank you very much for joining me. Please subscribe to the channel, Miami Heat UK TV. Enjoy the game. Let's take this W. Let's get it.